Greetings, fellow ukuleleans. Jeff Weinberger coming at you here with a new tutorial. I'd like to talk today about the CAGED system. This is for ukulele. I know the CAGED system, generally when we speak of it, we're talking about guitar. It's been used for years, decades, to explain the positions on the guitar and chord shapes, and a really good way for players to learn the neck, to learn the notes on the fretboard properly, and to recognize shapes and just negotiate things, find where all the music is on your instrument. So a very important thing for ukulele players. I figured I'd do this. There's not a lot out there about the CAGED system for ukulele, but I'd like to add to that pool of knowledge. So let's check it out. It's very cool. It's an excellent system. It's not the only system, and you can't rely only on systems to learn to play soulfully and with feeling. That's, something that systems cannot do for you. But to understand and to intellectually know your instrument well, this is about the best method I've seen out there. So let's check it out. CAGED stands for 5 chords. The C chord, the A chord, the G chord, the E chord, and the D chord. On the ukulele, the E chord is a less commonly used one, but we're going to check it out. We'll see how that works. But all the others are probably chords you play every day. So C chord, let's look at it. It's 0, 0, 0, 3. Normally we do that with our third finger, our ring finger. But let's entertain me here for a second and do it with your pinky. Try to do it with your fourth finger. Same 0, 0, 0, 3, but just with your pinky. All right, if you're successfully doing that and you can make it sound reasonably well, then take that up 2 frets, slide your pinky up from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret on your A string, of course, and then bar across your G, your C, and your E strings. If you can't do bars yet, if you're on that beginner or beginner intermediate side of ukulele playing and you're not yet good at bars, that's okay. You're still going to get a lot out of this. So just bear with me if that's physically difficult for you. But now I'm holding down a D chord. It's 2, 2, 2, 5. Move that up 2 frets, and it's an E chord. It's 4, 4, 4, 7. It's all that same shape. It's the same idea as you had with the C chord. If you were to pretend that when you play a C chord, 0, 0, 0, 3, that you have an imaginary bar back there behind the nut, well, that's just like a bar chord. If you place your fingers like that, even though you don't need to have this imaginary bar back there to make a C chord, just to illustrate, let's do that. Let's put our finger back there where the nut is, or behind the nut. Then when you slide that whole thing up, it's a D chord. Then it's an E chord at the 4th fret, bar at the 5th fret, and it's an F chord. And that was the first chord I used in that little intro. That was improvised, so it was just a little finger-picking thing that I did, using a few chords. But if any of you are dying to know how to play that, I'd be glad to tab it out for you. So that's the first movable chord. That shows us a lot. Let's look at some of the things that would help us with, besides knowing a whole bunch of major chords. Like right off the bat, a C, a D, an E, an F, a G, an A. So a big handful of major chords now. But another thing that it does for you is it shows you where the chord tones are for those chords. So for instance, if I had an F chord at the 5th fret, like the first chord in my little intro demo there, well, there are the notes of an F chord laid out for us that we could use. The note F is here on your C string. The note A is here on your E string. Then you have an F note way up here, an octave higher on your 8th fret, and back here on the G string, you have a C note. It lacks an A note, but still. Well, actually, no. It has an A note right there, so that's the 3 notes. It's just not in order. It's not a root position, arpeggio, or triad. It's an inversion, basically an F over C. But what you have there are notes that sound good over the chord if you're improvising. If you're jamming on an F chord and you play some of those notes, you can play a nice little ditty using the notes right out of the chord, as we talked about in previous videos. So it maps out for you where are the cool notes, where are those nice safe notes that sound really good over the chord. It also gives you the scale. If you wanted to play an F major pentatonic scale, it's right there. Like we talked about in a very recent video about the major pentatonic scale and how happy-go-lucky it is, and Stephen Fostery and all Americana sounding, also Asian and African too. Major pentatonic scale is beautiful. So you have a nice scale position, you have all your chord tones. This CAGED system is powerful stuff. It helps you find all the good stuff on your instrument right away and be familiar with it. It helps you learn instead of having to stare at some poster of the fretboard where, you know, you see the A string open, A sharp on the first fret, B on the second fret. Those are all good. I like diagrams and posters and, you know, drawings. And if that helps you, those visual aids, that's great. But eventually you got to put those away and have it memorized and just intuitively know how to get around your instrument. So this CAGED system is very powerful for that. So that's the C chord. Let's go on to an A chord. Everyone knows an A chord. It's 2, 1, 0, 0. An easy to play and very beautiful chord on the ukulele. And then if we were to refinger that, instead of our second finger on the second fret of the G string and our first finger on the first fret of the C string, let us do that with our third and second fingers. So third finger on the G string second fret, second finger on the C string first fret. A refingered A chord. Now we take that up to the third and second frets, 1 fret higher, and then bar across the first fret. Altogether that gives us 3, 2, 1, 1. Our familiar B flat chord. Notice that, how the B flat chord comes from the A chord shape. So you have an A chord shape moved up and barred, and it's B flat. Move it up to the 3rd fret, and it's C. Move it up to the 5th fret, and it's D. Move it up to the 7th fret, and it's E. Move it up another fret, and it's F. Pretty powerful that you can play all those chords with one little shape. It's just great.